What about risks? So let's say I've got 200,000. I'm in my 40s, and I'm thinking about unlocking my super from my land. What are some of the risks you tell me thinking going into this?
Yeah, so with any financial strategy, there's always going to be risk to consider, but obviously using the self-managed super fund, there's a couple of other things that we need to think about. So if you're putting all of your personal resources into setting up a farming business and then you decide to tap into your superannuation to buy the farmland, you really are using all of your resources for that one venture. So the success of that venture is going to be, quite important for the overall to minimise the risk. One of the golden rules of investing is not to put all your eggs in one basket. So just need to put that in mind and think about other ways to diversify and where you're allocating your assets. The other thing that we need to think about with using a self-managed super fund to buy farmland is that it's very difficult to borrow against the farmland to fund the ongoing operations of the business. So that can be quite restrictive from a capital point of view. Just needs to be considered.
So who would you recommend should consider this? Is it just someone who does have, so it sounds like you've got to have a little bit of money, you've got to be thinking about diversifying, but are there any really other restrictions? Like there's no geographical restrictions, it's mainly are you mitigating risk and spreading your risk of your investments? Is that just the main thing?
Just have a well thought out strategy, and if you can document why it makes sense, that will go to alleviate some of those restrictions. Each property purchase would have to be considered on its own merits before you could actually go down the path of using a self-managed super fund. There's quite a few restrictions around borrowing in an SMSF. Typically, you can't borrow as high a level against the value of the property as what you might be able to outside of an SMSF. So that does reduce borrowing capacity there. The other thing is each loan can only be used to buy a single acquirable asset. So what that means is if you're buying farmland that's on multiple titles, it could potentially mean multiple loan arrangements to be able to structure the purchase. But that also can create some opportunity because it means you might be able to structure part of the land ownership inside super or part of the land ownership outside of super.
Okay, so you can mix and match your investment streams, I guess.
Yeah, depending on the resources of the aspiring farmer or what it is that they're trying to purchase. So you really just need to sit down and look at your overall situation and see how an SMSF would work. It's not going to work for everyone, but it would be very beneficial for a lot of people.
And maybe we should pause here and just reiterate, or we haven't even mentioned it, but you really should get a professional doing this. You can have a crack yourself, I understand, but Andrew, having someone who's done this before is probably very, very handy. Yeah,
absolutely. So if you get it wrong, the consequences of that can be many, many times the cost of having got or received professional advice up front and getting it right the first time.
Makes sense to me. All right, now let's say I'm getting excited. I'm listening to this. I'm going, I've got a little bit of money and I want to buy a farm.